Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Rise with Sarah and Connor. I am your host, Sarah, and today I have the wonderful Carla Townsend joining me, who is a money mindset mentor. Thank you so much, Carla, for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me on. I am very excited for this conversation. Obviously, you could talk your ears off about it for days.
And I just want to mention, Carla, because I think it's really important. I love to give people a context of, how I'm connected with people. And we actually met at an event ourselves. So I think it was just, when you meet someone and you're like, oh, yes, I really need to talk to this person and introduce them to my audience. So I love how we connected through an event because I think it's so powerful that we can connect with people in the real world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like there's nothing better than that too, because when you actually meet someone in person, that's when you feel like we were just touched on energetics before we hit recording, but that's when you feel someone's energy and you're like, oh, I want to talk to you more. I want to know what you're about because there's something about you and I just need to know more. And I feel like that's what happens. And sometimes we lose that, especially in the online space. We lose that connection to real people. Hence, I was like, right, this year I'm going to the events and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, so good. Well, Carla, for my audience that don't know you, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm a money mindset and success coach for female entrepreneurs. So basically what I do is support them in eliminating their money blocks and monetizing their genius online because both go hand in hand, right? The actual creation of money and the receiving of money, holding money, expanding money, all go hand in hand. So I love to be able to actually go down into the root of what is it that's blocking themselves. Now, something that I will say here, when I talk about blocks, there is no physical block between you and money. There never is, never was, never will be. It is always this metaphorical block that we create. Sometimes we create it, or it comes from conditioning, or it comes from a story. Or look, sometimes it can be a lot deeper and it's stored in trauma within cells in our body, but it can all be cleared. It can all be moved through. And one thing that I have noticed, which I think is good to preface that, is sometimes your biggest block can be thinking that you have a block that must be cleared in order for you to move and take action.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, taking action. So how did you get into being a money mindset mentor, Carla?
Yeah. So, all right. I'll take you back a few years. So I actually started Money Mindset Hub back in 2019. And that was after a whirlwind of a year after I had my second baby. So I've got 3 children. And that was after my second was born. And that year, that maternity leave for the second time was so stressful with money. Now, I've always been someone who has grown up knowing how to manage money, spend it well, would always pay cash, all those sorts of things. So the actual managing of money was something that was always just common sense to me because I had been taught that from my parents. But when I got to that point in 2019, right at the beginning of 2019, I thought, there has to be more than this. There has to be more than this because how come I can know all that and do all that and always feel like that, but how come there's always just enough? Like I'm really great at manifesting just enough or earning just enough. And someone who's also very wired to work hard. Like my husband reminds me when I met him 12 years ago, I had 4 jobs and was studying at a time. I was a crazy person, but I had a great work ethic. So anyway, after that, fast forward, within a few months of realizing that money mindset is a standalone thing and it's more to do with your attitudes, your opinions, and your behaviors around money, and also what you think of people that have more or less of it than you. That's when you get to shift it and change it. So we all have a relationship with money, which can sound wild if you've never heard that before. But I'm sure that most people have heard that you have a relationship with food, with your health and fitness, right? That's normal. That's spoken about a lot. But money, it's not. But it's the same thing, essentially. It's your attitudes, your beliefs, your opinions, your behaviors, your judgments, criticisms towards money.
Yeah.
But money in itself is literally just a tool. And it's a tool that we created many years ago because, we didn't want to have to keep exchanging for goods and services with like salt and livestock and all the things, you know? So people thought, well, let's just create something that is a global currency that we can use to exchange for goods and services. That is all that money is. But us as humans, we attached an emotional meaning to it, our worthiness to it. You know, I could go on about that for days, but essentially that's all money is. So when that all happened, I went through my own transformation with money and started to really notice the difference, and went from, feeling like that within a few short months to being very abundant and living a very abundant life. So to paint the quick picture, within a 6-year span, we went from, we moved towns. We used to live in a 12 square house. Then we moved into a $1 million home, one that we never thought we would ever be able to afford, for one, back then, from where we came from, and gave birth to 3 kids. So in and amongst those 6 years, we completely did a 180 of our own life and had children, and were predominantly on one income at a time doing that. So that in itself is like, that came from a decision, multiple decisions, to shift and change and experience life differently, and to become that version of me that I always wanted to be. And from there, I needed to support other people to understand this as well. And obviously, I think entrepreneurship is just in my blood. It's in my family's blood. So I knew I was going to start a business at some point. And when I started to notice the women that I was working with families to begin with, I started noticing them going from having zero savings to thousands of dollars, paying for trips to take their family overseas with cash to see their family they hadn't seen in years because they never had enough money, because the cycle of never having enough or not enough, or this, that continued to play out. But the biggest shifts they always said to me was, my mindset behind money's changed. My husband's mindset behind money's changed from the stuff that you've taught me to take him through. And he's not even on the calls. He hasn't even met you, but he's changed and he's speaking differently about money. So that's when I just went, this is my thing. And this is actually, money is something that friends and family have always come to me for, because I've always sort of looked at it differently or managed it differently. But that evolution in my relationship with it, that's changed my life.
So much profound moments then, Carla. And the reason why I wanted to have you on is because business development managers that I mentor, I always teach that essentially they're a business within a business, and to really embrace that entrepreneurial mindset. And I think that's one thing that helped me excel when I was working as a business development manager, and really having a look at how I viewed money, and also then my goals around what I wanted to achieve in life. Because one of the things I love to do with my clients is have a look at their wheel of life. And on the wheel of life is finances. And it's really interesting to see how people rate themselves when it comes to their finances, or let's just say AKA money, right? But essentially what we spoke about offline as well, which is briefly, is that, a lot of people have an attachment to money because it means it's going to get them somewhere or get them something that they want. And so they are attaching money to the outcome. So what do you think is the impact or the challenge that you're seeing with people that you work with when it comes to this mindset around that?
Yeah. So this attachment to the goals is something that is very relevant, and something that I had a conversation with literally last week with a client. And so this attachment, the way that I see money, let's say it's a money goal, for instance, the way that people have, let me explain like the relationship with money, I think it's kind of on a spectrum. So there's complete control down this end, like complete control, micromanagement down this end. And then the other end is just like avoidance. Total avoidance, right? So we actually want to find that equilibrium in between, because we want to be able to bring neutrality to money, to feel neutral, because it's not good or bad or make you, an evil person or a greedy person or, overly generous. Like, it's just going to amplify who you already are and amplify the goals that you are desiring to get to. However, when it comes to this unhealthy attachment to said goal, right? That's when you actually repel it. So think about money in terms of dating. So like I said before, you have a relationship with money. just like you have a relationship with food, just like you have a relationship with health, just like you have a actual relationship with your partner, with your kids, for instance. You have a relationship with every part of your life and also the relationship with yourself. So if we look at the relationship with money in terms of, say, dating, when you are so attached down this end, right? When you are so attached to like, but they have to be the one because, you know, I'm at this age, it better be the one, and you're like, hey, what are you doing? Where are you? And you're constantly on them. How does that feel? Energetically, you're like, whoa, the other person might be like, calm down, stage 5 clinger over here, trying to control me, right? Well, if money's energy and everything is energy, that's exactly the same. Like you're emitting a frequency, like you're emitting an energy in the way that you act. And when it's coming from a place that is attached and like needy and clingy, it's also very repelling, right? If someone was like that in a relationship, you'd back off. And at the same time, if you're down the other end and you're completely avoidant towards them, you're like, oh, no, that'd be right. I'll speak to him in like a month. Or, you know, you get home and you don't even like speak to your partner, or you just put no energy there whatsoever. It's probably not going to last that long, you know? So that's the way I look at it. So if someone finds themselves, if any of your listeners find themselves on either end, right? Picture it about being another part of your life. Because when you swap that perspective and you look at it, pick another relationship in your life. Maybe it is with your significant other. Where do you fall on that? And how can you bring that kind of energy? Or maybe once you improve it and you bring it a bit more neutral, like you give it love and attention, you give them love and attention. You're there, you show that you care, but you're not like attached at their hip and you're not ignoring them. You've got this like calm, neutral energy because it's good and you know it's good. How can you bring that to money? How can you bring that kind of energy to your money goals? Because certainty is confidence. When you know you're going to get to that goal regardless, it's just a matter of time. But are you actually doing the behaviors that you need to get there?
Yeah.
If we can't just wish and hope things improve, obviously. If you have a goal, you need to do the work that's required. But there's all that you can do that's in your control. And then there's the other parts that are not under your control. You're not in control of someone else's actions or behaviors, or whether they sign up or whether they join or whether they pay or anything like that. But you're in control of, are you doing everything with pure intentions, not for money? The goal is never to chase the money, because again, that stage 5 clinger energy will push it away. But if you're doing something because you love it, right? So say for your clients, like they're doing it because they love it. They love being in this industry. This is what they enjoy. And they want to get the best result for their clients because serving others feels good. And the more that you do that with pure intentions, the more that it will all flow back to you. And the money and all that will flow back. It's a byproduct of you being pure. Yeah.
That what you just said, Carla, is so spot on. And for my audience watching, like, real estate, and there's a stigma around real estate and agents because essentially we're talking about money a lot, right? Like they want, landlords want a certain price for their property. Business development managers are typically on commission only. So there's this, you know, they want new clients, they want more money. And it's just like, whew, relax, you know, like let's get clear on, why do you love helping people, which is what you just said, like, what is your intention there? And then when you have this more of a flow and abundance, people can feel, and back to that energetic, feel that you genuinely care or give a shit, right? And this is where our industry as well, at the moment, where I'm seeing a lot of people really thrive in real estate and in property management as an individual, is that they've gone back to how they're showing people that they care and helping them with their financial goals that in turn assist their financial goals, right? So there's no limiting beliefs. They know their value. They know their intentions. They have a healthy mindset when it comes to money, and like this abundance mindset as well. And know that if your intentions are pure and you know the value that you bring and you know how you can really help someone, it comes back, right? I love this little exercise that I encourage some of my clients to do, and that's just having a look at how they make other people feel and see then how you receive it back. Yeah. So it's like when you're at a cafe or a restaurant or you're receiving services from someone else, how are you making them feel? as well. Because it's not just about the money. Like, yeah, you're paying that business owner like $6 or sometimes $7 for a cup of coffee, right? But in that moment, how can you make them feel good about their business and that exchange of that cup of coffee, not just the fact that you've given them $6, $7 to go towards their business, right? So how do you, what are some strategies, Carla, some recommendations that you think can overcome with some limiting beliefs around money and financial success for individuals?
Yeah. So look, it's so multifaceted when you're getting into the belief side of things, but I think everything starts with awareness, right? It's the first part of the cycle of change. You need to be aware of what's going on. So if there is any time where you begin to feel triggered, now maybe it is with a lack of money flowing in. Maybe it's with clients' rejections, saying no. Maybe it is looking at somebody else who's in the same industry, killing it. And you're like, oh, jealous or envious of what they've got, right? And there's judgment coming up. Any form of trigger is awareness that there is something there to work on.
Mm-hmm.
So any of those moments, I would begin to start to write them down. That is the first thing. Actually take note of them, because what you will find from that are patterns, and patterns, that's where it lies. So you will start to notice then, okay, what other moments, or when other moments, what are the conversations, who are the people that are triggering me?
Mm-hmm.
And then ask yourself, why is that triggering me? Now, the best thing you can do in this moment, though, is be responsible and take responsibility for the triggers. It's never like, well, they trigger me because they're doing this and I'm not. It's never them, it's you. Yeah. Whatever is triggering you, again, like whether you feel judgment, jealousy, or you feel shit, right? You feel shit for some reason and you start spiraling. The moment you start spiraling, there's a reason why. Take that responsibility back, because it's your responsibility to shift it and change it. Your energy is your responsibility. Think about your energy like your emotion. Emotions are energy in motion. Your emotions are your responsibility, no one else's. Yes. If someone does something to you, or there's actually this great analogy that I heard one day, and it was like these two ladies were walking down the street. They both tripped and fell over in the same hole. But one woman got up and was absolutely mortified and pissed off for the whole day. Ruined her energy all day because she allowed that to ruin her whole day. Whereas the second lady, she did it, got up, laughed it off. Yeah. Like, that's not going to bother me. I'm just going to keep going about my day. Pretty funny. If someone saw me, have a great laugh and keep going. So in every single moment when something triggers you, it is your responsibility to decide how you're going to act moving forward. And if that is going to be the deciding factor, because when we think about how many thoughts we have every day, you know, there's always numbers thrown around, 60,000, 80,000, whatever it is. It's tens of thousands, okay? Yeah. If we're having that many thoughts, and majority of them, like, again, they believe over, 90 to 95%, they are repeated thoughts from the day before. Mm-hmm. So if we're either woman A who gets up and it allows it to ruin her day, if she lives most days by that, and the seemingly small things annoy her and she lets it affect her mood for the whole day, and she probably does that every single day, and she probably negative spirals most days, like multiple times a day, imagine the reality that she's going to be living. Probably not very abundant, right? No. But then lady B, who's like, oh my God, have a laugh, let's keep going, and moves on, she is already in an abundant mindset. That's the way that I look at that analogy. That is an abundant mindset, because that's just like, for one, it's fine. Move on. It's not going to ruin my day. She's taking responsibility. She's not a victim. She's not blaming other people. She's like, oh my God, I didn't see the bloody step. Just get up, move on. Yeah. But that's what essentially you want to be able to cultivate, is like, if it's not going to matter, I love this. And I've always come back to this for such a long time, but if it's not going to matter in 5 years, who cares? Mm-hmm. Move on. Because if you're stewing on things, this is when you know that there's a big block to shift. So you need to get to the cause of, why is that really shitting me? Why is that triggering me so much? Why do I feel that way? So Sarah, it's funny because I actually used to be someone 10 years ago. Carla was so insecure. I was so insecure. I was so judgmental. And It was always them and not me.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment that I realized the problem is me, that's my responsibility. Because I was insecure in like my own body image. And, you know, a lot of women can relate to that as well. I was very insecure in my own body image. And I remember seeing like women who had amazing bodies and all that. And I would just be like, I would judge them for putting themselves out there. Right. So again, doesn't matter who you're looking at, swap that for someone who's really successful in your industry, making lots of money, and you're judging them. If you're judging someone that has what it is that you actually want, and a trigger shows you what you want. Now you might think, no, I'm being judgmental or jealous because, you know, they've got such and such. Every trigger shows you something that you actually want. It's gold.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you to shift that and go, oh, if I'm triggered, it's probably a part of me that wants a bit of that.
Yeah.
Why do I not think that I can have that?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what's coming up.
Yeah.
So sorry, that went on a bit of a tangent there, but I'm sure I guess to the point. Like,
No, you
be
did.
aware.
Yeah, awareness. And it's so, yes, spot on, Carla, because I see so many people in the industry, like they do judge in real estate, and I'm like, use it as inspiration, not judgment. Like use that as inspiration. If they're showing up and they're getting the results, like use that as fuel to, okay, what do I love about what they're doing? You know, like how can I incorporate some of that and use that as inspo, or message them and be like, hey, I love what you're doing. Can we catch up? Can we talk? You know? And I think this as well goes back to how we can set goals for ourselves. So when you spoke about, you know, having that awareness, and taking action as well. So we have the awareness, we're reflecting, we need to take action, and setting some achievable and realistic goals around, you know, okay, if this person has what we want, so I'm just going to use my clients as an example, like more listings or more clients or more money. Well, first of all, how do we get rid of those limiting beliefs? And what are those goals, or what are the things that we need to do? How do we need to show up? How can we shift those behaviors? Yeah. How can we make sure that we're putting those things in our days and in our time to create the life that we want, and to have more clients and to have more abundance and to just relax a little bit, you know, and take that pressure off. Yeah. Because the other thing is there's always going to be another client, right? And that's the reality, you know. I certainly don't get all of the clients that come to me, and that's okay. And I've got an acceptance around that, and not everyone's the right fit. Same when I was a business development manager, I'm not going to win them all, but after that listing, I wasn't like, oh, going down that spiral, which you spoke about, Carla. It's okay. Pick myself up, right? Because otherwise that would affect the whole conversation that I had with someone else. That affects then me not getting the goals that I wanted, and then affecting the money that I wanted to create. Yeah. Like I had massive goals as a business development manager, and I really had to look at my lifestyle too, Carla. It wasn't just about money. It was like, where am I spending my money? Like, where is my energy going? And to be honest, it was really unhealthy. You know, stimulants, I'm going to talk about, like coffee, alcohol, shopping, right? Like I'm not big on my brands and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm a bit of a minimalist, but just ridiculous amounts. And it didn't serve my purpose or the intentions that I wanted for my life. So I had to be really honest with myself there. Like, is this supporting my goals? Because I bought a house on my own. I booked in to travel Europe. I was going to go when the pandemic happened. I bought a new car. It was the first time I bought a new car. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have been able to get those things if my behaviors didn't change. Yeah. Or my lifestyle didn't change, or how I viewed the money that I was making change. Because we can make more money, right, if we want. But does that mean that we're going to be happy, or have we just tied that to what we think makes us successful? And this comes back to that stigma, or looking at what other people have and going, oh, if I have that Range Rover, I'm going to be happy. But it's not the actual Range Rover that's going to make us happy. Yeah. So it's so fascinating, because when you look at money, it's like, it's much more than that. And I think that's why I wanted you to come on, Carla, because you've explained it so beautifully, that it's not just about what we think it is. We need to go in and dive deep into that, and set some really great financial goals and help build confidence. But I think I would love your view on this, as how we can build confidence in ourselves when it comes to discussing or negotiating money, because especially in real estate, we have typically clients come back and try to negotiate our fees or what we're trying to charge for a service. Yeah. So what would be your advice around for the people that when they're having clients that come back to them trying to negotiate around how to build their confidence around that, the negotiating around fees?
Yeah, look, talking about money can be such a triggering thing too. There's a few things that you said there. So first off, I just want to say there's no such thing as competition. So if you still believe there's competition, then that's when you'll probably keep shooting yourself in the foot. There's no such thing as competition other than the competition you have with yourself to be better than you were yesterday. So take other people off the pedestal and don't compare yourself to where they are. They're probably, let's say they're 10 steps ahead of you. You're still on a journey. But again, like you said, use that as inspiration, use that as fuel to do better, to try better, to keep going, to be motivated. And the other part is what you said around that more money. More money will not fix anybody's problems. So Sarah, just to paint the picture, I have clients from startup in business through to earning 7 figures, you know, and I have these kind of conversations still. The scarcity still comes up with my clients earning over 40K a month. Now, most people would assume when you get to that, you know, like 40K, that's someone's yearly wage, like part-time yearly wage, right? Or maybe full-time for a lot of people, like that's a wage. But scarcity still comes up. It doesn't matter. The more money will not fix your problems. It's your own self-confidence, self-belief, self-trust, and your conviction within yourself and what you're doing and why you're doing it. So to go into the money talk, right? First off, begin rehearsing these in private, because at the end of the day, you need to be able to show up neutrally, speak about money neutrally, swap the word money out for a pen. Like literally swap the word out, take the word money out and just swap it for something else, something super random, phone. And that's all it is at the end of the day. But we have put a meaning on that word money. So if money is super triggering right now and you find yourself like fumbling, or when you're having to discuss, you know, you're getting all nervous and you're getting all hot and, you know, flustered when you're about to have a conversation with money, that means you still have work to do around your neutrality with money, because there's still that scarcity loop playing out.
Yeah.
So where else is that scarcity loop playing out in other areas of your life? Because you were bang on when you said it's other areas. Because how you are in off the field, right? When you're not working, when you're clocked off and you're just being you, that will impact how you are on the field, when you're showing up, when you're having these conversations with clients, when you're going after it. That energy will translate into what you're doing. So where else are you feeling like you cannot have conversations and you can't articulate what it is that you actually want to? Because there's probably other areas in your life where you feel like you can't articulate, you can't speak for yourself, or you're struggling. There are other areas. But honestly, swap that word money out or rehearse it. Look in the mirror, pretend you're a client, and have that conversation so many times. All the conversations, like first off, just brainstorm. What are all the conversations that I actually can't stand having with clients? Like they give me anxiety. What are they? What are they about? Then start creating a plan around, well, how can I do this? How can I say this? Is there a better way? The more that you rehearse it, it takes that energy away from it.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, keep going into what is it? Like swap word money out.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, money is just a tool. It's a physical thing. And honestly, like this phone, if I lose this phone, am I going, oh my God, I must have beliefs around this phone, because they just keep running out. They just keep breaking. I just keep losing them. There's not any more. When are they going to come to me next? Like when am I going to find another phone? No, I'd be resourceful and go, I'm just going to go and find it. I'm going to get off my bum. I'm going to take action. I'm going to go find it. So swap the word money out for anything in your life, and just think about that. And obviously, you know, when it comes to activations and healings and clearing the limiting beliefs, yes, like money does have such an emotional charge. So it is necessary. But the moment you start to think, well, how can I just show up with the same energy towards money and the conversations with clients like I do in other areas of life? Like, let's say in your relationship, if you're pretty sure in your relationship and you're like, well, they're not going anywhere, we're fine. Like, things are great. It's great. Of course, they're going to always be there. When you have that level of confidence around like money, around clients, like, of course they're going to be there because I'm the best. Like, they're just going to keep coming to me. And if not them, someone else. There's always more. There's no such thing as competition. So if they're not for me, they're not for me. They'll find someone that's for them. And they probably weren't for me anyway. Thank you, universe. That was a gift.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
So
appreciating what you've got to, Sarah. Like, I think that's a big thing. Like,
for sure.
sprinkle gratitude on everything, because again, like we just said, more money will not solve your problems. If you are struggling to find gratitude for the money that you've got right now, for the abundance that is all around you. So for everyone watching, listening, look around you. What did money provide you that is currently in your space? Literally this microphone, this computer, the internet. So I can speak to you, Sarah. Like, you know, all these self-development books up here. You know what I mean? This house.
Yeah.
Heating, the food on my table. Like, look at everything and just remember, like, money is here to support you. It is a supportive tool, but it is how you spend it and how you use it that's what counts. And it is neutral. It has no charge other than the charge you give it. So look at how you are spending it and be grateful for every single dollar that comes in. Like I say to my daughter now, you know, she picked up a coin at the post office. She found a coin on the ground. I said, oh, pick it up, honey. Thank the universe. And she was like, oh, thanks, universe. Like, you know, she might not understand it, but that was a couple of years ago. And now she's 7 and she's like, I love money, mum. I'm like, yeah, because money's a good tool. It's a good tool, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So many takeaways just then. But I love this saying, and it's how you do one thing shows you how you do everything. So it's not just around that money, it's like how you show up, the conversations that you're having with people. And there's so many people that I speak to have this, oh, well, this is my work and this is my life. Well, and I don't agree with that. I don't know about you, Carla, but I'm just like, life is just life. I don't have two versions of Sarah. It's like, because I love what I do. And I know that that's a byproduct of the life that I have and live, but it's interconnected everything. So I'm like, okay, how I show up in my friendships, in my relationships, when I'm networking, when we're doing this recording right now, it's all the same. Yeah. And that's why I always remember that it's how you do one thing, shows how you do everything. Right. So it's just like, be mindful of that and aware of that. And I loved what you just said about rehearsing. I think too many times I see many of my clients try to overcomplicate it when it comes to justifying their worth or their fees and going, oh, well, I need a script for this and I need a dialogue for that, when actually everything's already within you. You're just needing to be able to practice and rehearse how you articulate and how you feel around your value when you're speaking to someone, or when they're coming to you, like you just said, like if someone's coming saying, oh, well, you know, can you do it for this fee? How does that make you feel? Are you already anxious around that? Like, oh my God, well, that means that person doesn't value me, and it's just, again, going back to those tips that you said around awareness and the patterns and why is this happening, and taking responsibility for that, and really creating action. So I think it's so many practical tips that you've given away, Carla, to help build the confidence and to help with valuing the perception of yourself and other people as well. It's absolutely huge. So what do you recommend? Like, are there any books, or like, obviously you've got your, is it a program that you run, Carla, around like for people to understand or how they can improve their money mindset? I would love to know your recommendations around that.
Yeah, so I do have a program that is about to come back and be relaunched. It has been It's something I actually launched 2 years ago. It's called Money Methodology. So it's coming back in about a month's time, Sarah. So we're currently revamping that in the back. It's almost done. I'm almost ready for it because I feel like in the last few years, a lot has shifted and changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, money methodology is coming back, but I do actually have a money quiz. This is going to be really helpful. So it's a money archetype quiz. Essentially, there are 8 different money archetypes, and they explain your strengths and your challenges around money and also your shadow sides of money. So it's such a great awareness tool. I love this quiz. Everyone who does it is shocked because they realize how spot on it is. So if anyone wants to do that quiz, trust me, once you do it, you'll go, oh my God, this explains why I've always been this way. So go to moneymindset.com/quiz and it's there. Probably take you like 5 to 10 minutes tops. But that's amazing. You're going to get your results sent directly to you with your top 3 archetypes. They're the ones that are the most important because they're the ones that are also the most influential in how you think, feel, and behave with money. So I would definitely recommend do that quiz. And if you do that quiz, you will be on the email list. So you will get notified when money methodology comes back. And it is amazing.
I'll make sure that I drop the link, Carla, in the description for everyone watching. And some closing thoughts or final advice. So what would you give to business development managers who are looking to improve their money mindset when helping grow property management businesses? Final thought.
So receiving. This is what I want to talk about because I think this is really important. So when it comes to receivership, if you actually want to grow your wealth, you need to be open to receiving it. You need to be open to be able to receive it in many different ways in which it comes in. Again, we cannot completely control everything and every way and every dollar and micromanage exactly how it is going to all flow to us. Do your part and allow everything else to take care of itself. Do what you can control. The rest will come to you. The more that you work on your confidence and your certainty. And I just want to touch on too, it's something that you mentioned before, but that justification and that validating, that is scarcity energy coming up. So again, think about that. Think about it in terms of a relationship. If that was, let's say it's not a client, but let's say it's a potential partner you're having a conversation with. If you're trying to validate yourself and justify and constantly, what kind of energy are you giving out? It is like, oh, like it's very needy. It's very scarcity. It's very like untrustworthy. Because when you're unsure and you're validating and you're justifying, that brings an untrustworthy energy about it. When you are confident and you are convicted and you stand by what it was that you said, there is a lot of trust in that kind of energy. So I'd really recommend that everybody focuses on that. How can I be more convicted in what I'm saying? And if they don't agree with the price, and if they want to have this conversation around the back and forth, you stand firm, because firming is confidence. Confidence brings certainty to your buyer, to your client. They will be more confident in you the more confident you are in them, in yourself, I should say, in yourself.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Spot on that last piece, Carla. We speak the same language for sure, but there are so many takeaways today for BDMs or business owners that are watching. On behalf of them, Carla, thank you so much for jumping on. Take the quiz, guys, and really just understand your mindset around money, especially because it's so important for us at, working as individuals and in businesses and in real estate. I think like, let's just improve ourselves first. And that's where we connect back to ourselves, the confidence come back to ourselves, like you said, Carla, so that we can really care for other people and help them. That's why we do what we do, right? So I just want to say thank you so much. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Your insights have been incredible. And I've got no doubt then that your program is just going to be like taking people to next level when it comes to their finances and their money. So well done, girl.
No, thank you so much. Here, look, we're here to build $1 million movements. And I know every one of your audience members and clients are here to build $1 million movements. So that's what it's all about. And yeah, that's what I bring in my programs.
I love it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you again, Carla. And as always, everyone, keep rising.